Hello and welcome. Today I thought I would talk about a few of my bookish habits. So I'm not talking about any one book in particular. I'm just going to talk about my habits when it comes to reading and habits of like how I take care of books and such. So with that said, let's just jump right on into this. Let's not waste any time. So one of my first bookish habits. By the way, I have like my little notebook here with like my list of stuff. So if I look like I'm looking down, it's because I am. So one of the first things, as many have probably seen looking at my shelves, I am a hardcover girly. I love my hardcovers, but I do always remove my dust jacket when I read a book because I am so paranoid of the dust jacket getting ripped, crinkled, fingerprints, like anything like that. I want my books to look as pristine as possible because I was raised, if you love something, you take care of it. So for my books to end up in a trashed appearance tells me that I don't love it enough. Like, so when I read my hardcovers, the dust jacket comes off, especially my older hardcovers. I have some in my collection that are from like the 80s because they're like my Anne McCaffrey's or my Patricia McKillip's, which are like, some are like early 90s and some are a little bit before that. And the material is a lot thinner. And some of them already come with some damage on them. So I always make sure to remove those. At some point, I do want to get my older hardbacks covered in the Mylar that like some special editions, like if you have Goldsboro, they come with that special, like I believe it's Mylar, protective cover on it. I would love to do that for a lot of my olders, but yes, hardcovers, the dust jacket has to come off, and I will set it aside somewhere like up out of the way so that I won't accidentally damage it, because that has happened. I have taken it off and I have set it down somewhere and somebody else accidentally damaged it, and I was like, took everything in me not to blow up at them, okay? So on the topic of hardcovers though, the only time that I do read a hardcover with the dust jacket still on it is if I get it from the library. And this is where my next habit comes in. I wipe down library books with like a disinfectant wipe. Most of them that I get are hardcover, but even like the paperbacks, I'll just take like a sensitive like baby wipe down and just like wipe it down. Because I don't want to say it's a germ thing. It's a texture feeling thing. I have a thing with my hands. I am very weird about my hands. I don't like them feeling dirty and I don't like them smelling dirty. And every little thing will make me think that they smell dirty, and I will hyper focus on it, and I will overwash my hands to the point of where they are raw, dry, and cracked. And because I use the library a lot, that means the books, they get that gritty, nasty texture. I've gotten some where there's literally like something on the cover, and I will wipe it down and just like I'll clean the book. Like I will clean the book as best as I can. And then when I'm done reading that book, either for that setting, like if I've read it for like an hour, when I am done, I will go and I will wash my hands. And like I said, it's not a germ issue. It's a fact that my brain says your hands are dirty, because of like texture or just anything. And so it drives me a little bit crazy, and that's just my process. Like I wipe down the books, and when I'm done, I'll wash my hands. After that, I'm one of those people who, when I do have a paperback, I will not break the spine. I absolutely will do everything in my power to not break the spine on a paperback. Let me grab a paperback and show you, especially a mass market. A lot of people are like, oh, mass markets, go ahead, break the spines. No. The only ones in my collection that have broken spines are ones that I have bought like that or because they were used, and it's usually with the most minimal amount of damage as I could possibly like find. So here's mass market. Okay. That's about as much as I will open it sometimes. I will sit there and I will and I have been told by numerous people, you look uncomfortable reading that. And I'm like, it's a lifestyle now. Like, it's not something that actually like bothers me. Like, a lot of times, like, that's about as wide as I will open because I do not want this cracked at all. And, you know, it does make it for an interesting reading session when you do that. But that's just like how I am. It is a lot easier on like the trade paperbacks that are out and released nowadays because they're a little bit bigger, and a lot of them do have like a flop because, let's be real, there is no flop to a mass market. But yeah, I will do everything in my power not to crack a spine. Everything in my power. The next one, when I listen to audiobooks, sometimes I will try to do an immersive read. A lot of times I do that for like the books that have heavier politics involved in the story. But usually what I will end up doing is I have to do like a brainless, thoughtless task while I listen to an audiobook. So that tends to be the dishes, laundry, vacuuming, general house cleaning. It's actually one of the easiest ways for me to stay on top of the cleaning in my house, because it is just me and my daughter, and you know, someone has to take care of the house, I guess. And that's pretty much what I have to do. Every now and then there have been times where I've been able to play a video game while listening to an audiobook, but it's usually because I'm just doing leftover filler stuff, like collecting all the side quests and everything. So I don't have to like pay attention to a storyline. I'm just like running around collecting gold and armor and stuff like that. But it's really rare. And then other times I will like build a puzzle. Like right now I do have a puzzle going. It's a Peter Rabbit puzzle. And I have that going. And so when I have an audiobook playing, I'll, do that. But it has to be something just completely mindless where I can turn my brain off and it's like second nature while I do it while listening to an audiobook. I can't, like, I've seen people who are like, oh, I can work on my computer, and I'm like, why? How? Like, I would not be paying attention to the book. So yeah, that's me with audiobooks. Is for the most part, if I'm going to listen to one, I would prefer to be doing something at the exact same time, and it usually turns into me cleaning the entire house. After that, the next one, it is actually in regards to my bookcases. I do not like overstuffing my bookcases. I think it looks bad. I'm like trying to like think of a word I want to use that I'm not going to like hurt somebody's feelings with, but like I feel like when your shelves are just overstuffed, it doesn't look nice. It's not appealing. And part of me having my books is I want to have them on display where people go, wow, look at this. And they do. Like when they come into my living room, that's the first thing they see, and they're like, wow, that's a lot of books. And I'm like, yeah. And they're all set up nice. So I don't do like double stacking on my bookcases. I have deep set bookcases, and I actually have them pulled forward. I have the books pulled forward to about the mid section of each shelf, so that one, airflow can get behind there so that my books don't mold, and then two, so that it prevents me from double stacking and just creating like a hot mess or whatever. Like that's how to me, like that's the best way to put it. Like they look like hot messes when it's just stacks and random stacks just like on the shelves, and I'm like, no. And I don't like doing side stacking either. There's one section on one of my bookcases right now where there is a side stack, and it's just because it's what I had to do space wise. But every time I look at it, I hate it, and I'm like, ugh. And when I say like side stack, I mean like like this, like putting your books on your shelf like this and like having a stack. No, I don't like that. It actually ruins the bind. It ruins the spine, and can cause warping. And like I said, I want to take care of my books as best as I can. So I also have like all of my books by specific sizes. I make sure to like level things out. Paperbacks are all together. There's like a few paperbacks that aren't with the other paperbacks, but it's just because of a display thing. I don't do like forward facing out, like having the book like on display like this. I don't do that anymore because that also is really bad for the binding and will cause the book to fall apart, because it causes this to separate and fall apart, and then next thing you know, your book is in pieces, and I don't want that. So if I do have any books that are on display where you can see this, I actually have them in a book holder so that the weight is actually distributed like laying backwards, and it's not going to cause any harm to this. So I have a lot of very big specifics when it comes to just how I take care of my books. I tried to do the pages out, like how like the sprayed edges are like all popular right now. I have a ton myself. I tried doing that to where I had them on display, and I realized that there was just no easy way to pull it off of the shelf. And I was like, I'm going to ruin these books trying to pull them off the shelf because the paper side is facing out to me. And so I stopped doing that. So I have all these really pretty sprayed edges and you can't see any of them. And that's just how it's going to be. And honestly, I think that's probably why I have found less and less appeal in buying the sprayed edges, because I don't have them faced out, but instead it's like when someone picks it up off the shelf, they're like, ooh, surprise. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty, right? That's like a shortened, condensed version of like how I keep my shelves put together. If you guys are ever interested in a book tour of like all of my bookcases and stuff, I would definitely be willing to do that. And you guys would probably see more intricacies about like my shelves and like what exactly I mean when I say I do things like a certain way. But yeah, I'm very particular. I'm also very particular about like what I put next to each other and how I put them next to each other, and trying to keep like an idea and a flow going together. So, and I tend to change my shelves up like every 3 to 6 months because I get tired of looking at them in a certain way, and I'm like, time to try a new design. And it's just moving the books around. That's it. Last one is I do not eat when I read. I do not eat anything at all when I read. I see it all the time where people are like, get your snacks together and go and read a book, especially like for those like 24-hour readathons or those weekend-long readathons where they're like, make sure you have your snacks next to you, and they've got like chips and chocolate and, just all kinds of food stuff. And I'm like, no, don't bring any food near my books at all. Don't do that. Like I have a stack of books on my coffee table out here, and sometimes when I'm eating, depending on what I'm eating, I will move that entire stack of books because I don't want to take the chance that like some sauce will like fly off my plate and hit the book. So yeah, when it comes to reading and eating, I'm only reading. That is it. I will have something to drink. A lot of times I just make sure it has a straw, so it's more just like leaning over and like taking a drink, and I don't have to like physically touch it and get any condensation on my fingers. And yeah, I won't do those two activities at the same time. If I end up getting hungry while eating, I will completely stop, put the book down, go and eat, and then come back to the book. But you will not catch me doing both at the same time, even with a Kindle. And that's just because it feels distracting at the same time. Not only is it messy, but like it's distracting. I can't do both those tasks at the same time. So yeah, those are like the big ones that I can definitely think of right now that, like I said, I wrote down in my little notebook, and those are just some habits that I have. I don't know if other people have the same habits, but I would love to hear what kind of reading habits you have. So drop a comment down below. Let me know. So do we like the different setup? Like this is still my living room. That's my manga shelf. We got some Bulbasaurs up there because best Pokemon. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, all those great things. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.